Hello, this is Dread, and in today's video topic, this is going to be my first video for the Settlers of Kalguur League. So, I couldn't get a video out for you guys earlier in the league because Path of Exile has been hard crashing my computer constantly, and mainly because of Blight, because I've been farming Blight. But I figured out just this morning that if I just run Path of Exile as administrator, it fixes most of the crashes. So finally, I could get some footage for you guys. So what did I league start? Well, first things off, I leveled as a Toxic Rain Ballista Pathfinder all the way to like level maybe 75-ish, something like that. I mainly used it to do my first completions on yellows and whites, and I also used it to farm up currency to buy one of the first prismatic oils of the league. So I think I spent 1.7 div on my prismatic oil. That was to get access to a specific anoint that we use for our build. So let's explain what I'm actually playing now, and that is Poison, Inextricable Fate, Grasping Vines, Firestorm of Pelting Pathfinder. So that's a lot of words, so let's break it down slowly here, okay? So, Inextricable Fate is a pair of boots that allows you to make all damage poison on enemies if they have 3 Grasping Vines. This wasn't very viable last patch, as it was just kind of bad in general, because getting Grasping Vines was very difficult. But now there's a new anoint that you can get with the prismatic oils that allows us to grab Grasping Vines. We apply a Grasping Vine on hit as long as we're using a life flask. And we're always using a life flask because we're playing a Pathfinder. So now we just simply need something that hits a lot. So not only to apply a bunch of poisons, but to also apply those initial 3 Grasping Vines, because otherwise our clear would be poo-poo, right? If we weren't able to apply enough Grasping Vines quick enough. So yeah, we use Grasping Vines, apply them, then get the boots, all damage can poison. This allows us to scale our poison spell, quote unquote, in a very unique fashion. So this means we can run something like Rebuke of the Vol, for instance. Rebuke of the Vol gives you a very large amount of flat damage, which isn't really synergistic with each other until you make it either 1, use it with all damage can ignite from Elementalist, or now you can use it with all damage can poison with Inextricable Fate. We can double dip on this multiple times here. So the first things off is we can run Battle Mage either on a Nycta's Lantern early on. That's actually what I did for the first day of the character. I ran a Nycta's Lantern plus a Rebuke of the Vol, and that served me well for the most part. Obviously, eventually you want to be dumping the Nycta's Lantern for a shield, which I decided to go for a Saffles frame, as it gives me a lot of max res, which allows me to, not die to elemental, so I can focus most of my defenses on physical mitigation, which, got harder this patch. But yeah, we're running Nycta's Lantern and then swapping it to Saffles frame. Well, we're losing Battle Mage, which then would apply, the flat of my sword to my weapon, right? Well, we can actually get around this by running Cadigan's Crown. So Cadigan's Crown is a unique back all the way from 3.15 Expedition League, and this makes it so you can have Battle Mage, but it makes it so you can't crit. This was a very big downside back in the day because there wasn't really much you could do with this to make it feel good, but all of a sudden, since I have a very fat big stick, I can run all damage can poison, right, with it, with Inextricable Fate, and then use it with my Rebuke of the Vol, which is great. So we run, of course, the Ward Helmet. Then we also run Spellblade Support. Spellblade Support is another 120% of the flat on our weapon as well. As you can tell, you can see where this is going. It has gotten so ridiculous, the amount of flat that I have, is I actually checked Dendrobait with a 50% increased damage corruption that I currently have is better significantly than a Covenant in my 6-link. And that is because we just have that much flat from our Spellblade and our Battle Mage, which is awesome. This means we don't have to worry about flat damage at all, so we can just focus on percent damage, dot multi, poison duration, and all the other goodies. Now let's explain Firestorm of Pelting and why I chose it. So Firestorm of Pelting is the transfigured version of Firestorm. So normal Firestorm shoots out a big meteor, then a bunch of small little meteors, and those can all hit the same target, etc., etc. But Firestorm of Pelting removes the big meteor, but you can have up to 12 firestorms at once. This means that, so on average, if you aim your mouse at the center of the target, you will get 6.7 hits per second per firestorm. So you multiply that by the amount of firestorms, then you multiply that by your poison application, and that is your single target. And turns out it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Firestorm is a very good poison skill. Who would have thought, right? It's wonderful. And this has allowed us to just simply push into the end game very easily, very cheaply. Definitely one of my better league starters overall. Being able to just simply use Poison Firestorm to clear all my pinnacle content and to get all my watchstones and to also get all of my favorite slots except for one specifically and most of my completion. And for a league starter, that's all you really need to do with it, to be honest. I'm pretty happy with the build so far and the amount of investment I put into it. We will go into more detail on everything there, but I am pretty happy with the character. So let's talk about the last few things I've done for the character. So we are running, of course, a Life Flask with the Life Flask node on Pathfinder. We have a Tides of Time to support that one. What I did was I bought the cheapest Tides of Time on the market for like 2 div. Then I rolled a Divine on it and got what I have now, which allowed me to not have to buy one of the expensive Tides of Time, which at the time, which were like 8 div. And that has allowed us to run a Bismuth Flask with Alchemist's mod on it. Not only does that allow us to cap our resistances quicker, it also gives us access to the juicy reduced effect of not reduced, but like the avoid on chill and freeze. So we're chill and freeze immune from that. I'm running a Quicksilver / Amethyst Flask swap for reduced effective curses. That on top of one reduced effective curse jewel means I'm immune to curses. I'm running a Jade Flask with the armor percentage. That is because we are in an Iron Reflexes build. We are running Iron Reflexes for physical mitigation. We're running an Onslaught Flask with as much effect as possible as we can get without it being too crazy, right? And sadly, GGG thought it would be funny to remove the cast speed prefix and attack speed prefix on flasks. This means that we have a little bit less cast speed. One of the bigger problems that this build faces is because the base duration of Firestorm is around 2 seconds, and we can get it all the way up to 4.2 seconds currently. But the problem is, to maintain 12 firestorms at once, we would need around like 12 cast, about like 3 casts per second. Right now, we're very close to that margin now, thanks to a lot of investment, but be ready to invest some cast speed into your character to make it feel better. Now, for the last thing I do want to talk about the character overall is the reason why we're using Unleash for clear. So the main reason why is to apply enough Grasping Vines in a quick enough manner while clearing. I have gone for Unleash. This means we repeat the spell multiple times, and that gives us more firestorms on the trash mobs. As the less damage from reoccurring doesn't really matter. We just need to apply more vines per second, because our build doesn't quote-unquote function without the extra vines. So I can clear trash with my pre-vine damage, as there's a lot of flat physical and chaos on Rebuke of the Vaal, and for the most part that carries me through most trash. But if anything survives at least like a second or half a second, they get all of their vines put upon them, and then we can kill them. Now, because of the strength of this build of running so many vines to reduce our enemy's movement speed by 80%, and we are a poison build, so we're naturally benefiting from running temporal chains, this means that enemies are stopped in their tracks. They're very slow. And that gave me the idea, let's try some blight farming. And it was a great experience. Even with when I was like on a Nycta's Lantern on a 4-link, I was able to do T16 blights and farm up some currency. Then, of course, I could swap to the Saphos frame and stuff like that. But I have been farming blight ever since I got my completion, and it's been wonderful. As all of the unique monsters, they all cluster together. We put a bunch of Firestorms on them, and they stand still. I was also using a, not a Venopuncture, but the other one. I can't remember exactly, but it's the one that allows you to chill with your poison damage, and that was very useful as well early on, as it allowed us to, of course, keep our enemies still. The less and less action speed they have, the better, which means, we can keep them standing still and we can, destroy the blight. Another reason why we're running blight is for some reason blights drop an inordinate amount of gold in comparison to other league mechanics. For some reason, I don't know why. Like, I tried Abyss and specifically I think Ritual, and they were dropping nowhere near the amount of gold that Blight was doing, especially with how fast Blight has been with the nodes and stuff like that. So I ditched those entirely and I just went with Blight farming, and overall it's been great, and that's how I've been investing my character so far. I think I have around like maybe 10 to 20 divines into the build. I'm at like 5 million DPS technically on the sheet. It's very hard to calculate the DPS for this skill, but I can kill like Black Star, which has like 35 million HP in like 7 seconds. That's like 7 divided by 35. That's like 5 million DPS technically. I think it's actually more if you take into account our ramp up time and the poison duration, but like odds are I have no idea how to calculate Firestorm's DPS in this regard. I have been doing a bunch of guesstimating. I don't know the exact damage, but it seems like it's enough. But yeah, with all that being said, this has been Dread. I'll probably make a full video on this in the future and make a full guide on it if you're interested. So leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed content like this and want to see more content like this on YouTube, as it is the best way of supporting me currently. Now, with all that being said, let's go. Bye.